Hey, in today's episode, I'm going to be talking to you all about strength and the importance to be adding as much as possible in your 40s and 50s so that you can kick ass in your 80s. Stay tuned. Hey, I'm Dave. I'm the most veteran friendly, heaviest deadlifting, biggest strength promoter in the veteran community out there. And I want to make sure that you understand the importance of adding as much strength as possible in this episode. Strength is one of those things that we think is only for us when we're young bucks, when we're doing the bro splits in our 20s, when we're lifting weights to look good for the girls, curls for the girls. But the reality is you need it in order to survive and be harder to kill well into your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. The only way you're going to achieve this is by adding as much muscle as possible yesterday so that you can be strong tomorrow. So only recently did I really understand the importance of strength. Being a former infantry guy, my idea of strength was doing a heavy ruck march, doing push-ups, doing pull-ups. I was good at them, but I missed a critical component, which is adding more muscle mass. Adding more muscle mass has been my main priority over the last year and a half because I realized through individuals like Dr. Peter Attia, who I'm going to reference heavily in this episode, is one of the things that you need to focus on, especially as you start aging as a man, that will help you not only defend against things like falls, diabetes, depression, but also it just makes you feel good, look good, and also have a much more imposing presence when people are around you because they know, hey, this guy must be taking care of himself. I wonder why. So let's dive into a few of the things that are really important around strength and how you can add some of these things to your training program from home. And I'll also go into how this relates to my BE.A.S.T program, which helps with individuals that are trying to get stronger, but also dial in their hormones and their overall health. So here are the few things that are really, really the driving forces for getting strong. They are increase in metabolism and decrease in body fat. Muscle is very energetic. It requires a lot of energy to keep on your skeleton. So therefore, you're going to burn more calories just for having more muscle mass. Number two, increased longevity. And I'm going to reference this a little bit more deeply, but the more muscle mass you have, the studies have shown that you have a much greater capacity for a much longer life. Insulin sensitivity. Muscle sucks up glucose from your bloodstream very efficiently. One of the largest sinks of glucose and glycogen is muscle. So if you're able to do that more efficiently, the chances of you developing type 2 diabetes are much lower. Decrease in injury. Having more muscle mass just prevents you from having a greater chance of injury because of a few things. You have a bit better capacity for eccentric loading, and I'm going to get into that a little bit more. So you can prevent a fall a lot better. On top of that, your joints are a lot more stable because you have muscle mass surrounding them that is a lot more developed. Your mental health. You have a much better resiliency towards depression. The Swedes did a really interesting study with mice. The mice that were more muscled, I don't know how you're able to determine if a mouse is depressed. I guess more muscled mice, you can observe them a bit better with biopsies, but they had a much better resiliency to depression than the less muscled mice. And then lastly, having more muscle and more strength implies a better immune system. Your immune system requires amino acids. Muscle is comprised of a bunch of amino acids. If you go back to an earlier episode, we understand the basics of protein. Proteins are made up of those amino acids. So certain amino acids are required for your immune system. You have more of them when you have more muscle. All right, so let's get back to longevity. Longevity and muscle go hand in hand. The reason for this is there's a few studies that have really caught my attention. And again, I want to refer to Peter Attia's Ask Me Anything, but also he did amazing episodes on longevity and muscle. One of them is all focused on grip strength, which is probably not something that you're tracking. But grip strength is a great proxy for overall strength and upper body strength. So rather than have an old man in his 80s or 90s come in and do a technical movement like a deadlift, you can determine how strong you are by doing a grip strength test. So any of us that have been in the military, one of the main tests when joining is the grip strength test, the dynamometer. The reason why we do that test is you don't need to have a technical skill like lifting a barbell in order to determine if you have the requisite strength to join the military. Hence the reason why we do it. So these studies have shown that individuals that have much better longevity, so they're able to live into their 80s and 90s, have a much better grip strength in both hands. Why? The reasoning is that an individual that is able to maintain a certain amount of muscle mass for a certain period of time into their 80s and 90s is going to be better lived. And the reason is simply that they have, for all the reasons I just mentioned earlier, just a better resiliency to all the things that can take you out. Okay? So grip strength, you can grab onto things as you're about to fall. That's a big determinant because falls are one of the main causes of death in the elderly in the developed world. And so let's get into now how being strong decreases injuries. So earlier I just mentioned eccentric strength helps prevent falls. Well, why is that? So what is eccentric strength? Eccentric strength is what we call in the gym a negative set. So if you're doing a bicep curl and you lower it very, very, very slowly, if you've done this in the past, you know it burns, right? Eccentric loading is where the muscle is under tension while stretched. Concentric is when it's flexed. This type of loading prevents somebody from falling over, essentially. It means your quad is able to eccentrically load very well and not buckle under the stress of a trip before you fall. Does that make sense? So coupled with the grip strength, coupled with the leg strength, your chances of falling go down precipitously. So with that being said, you need to constantly train in order to keep that eccentric strength very high. Most men lose about 1% of their total strength every year after age of 50. Some studies have shown even greater losses of strength. One study showed that from age 20 to 80, you lose anywhere between 35 to 40% of your total strength. This is because you're not training it. You're not focused on it. So the main effort has to be ensuring that you have a high level of strength. All right, so now we understand that strength is critically important for you making it through to the later twilight of your life, but not just making it there, but thriving when you're there. Okay, so what are some of the things that I've incorporated into my B.E.A.S.T program that has helped not only myself get stronger, but help those that have been working in the program ensure that they have a higher level of strength? So I established a few baselines. And again, I want to thank Peter Attia for helping me out with those. They are pretty straightforward. The first one is a 2-minute dead hang. So you grab onto a bar and you hold. The goal is 2 minutes. Try it out. It's really hard. And what is this working? Grip strength. Really, really, really tough on the grip. And the heavier you are, like a guy like myself that's pushing 225, definitely very challenging. Next is 40 push-ups. 40 consecutive push-ups was shown in a very interesting study with firefighters in the United States to have a correlation between decreased cardiovascular events like heart attacks. The reason, still not entirely clear, but to have the requisite strength to be able to do 40 push-ups is a very good indicator that you're pretty healthy and you take your health seriously. So 40 push-ups is the baseline standard to achieve. A 2-minute wall sit is another important standard. That just implies basic fundamental quadriceps strength. If you have it, great. If you can't, work up to it. And then lastly, this is probably the second hardest, or depending, like for me, it's probably the hardest. The 400-meter farmer's carry with 30% of your current body weight in each hand. Either kettlebell or dumbbell, doesn't matter. The reason why this is hard is that the heavier you get, the more you need to carry in your hands and the stronger you need to be. So for instance, a guy that's, let's say 180 pounds, that means you need 60 pounds in each hand. Now, the goal is to do the whole 400 meters without putting the weight down, but you want to time yourself and see if you can do it quickly. The fastest I've been able to do it is 5 minutes. I've had to put the weight down a few times because I had to use 70 pounds in each hand. So these are the standards that you should be considering moving forward to ensure that you have the requisite strength to move into your 70s, 80s, and 90s with a good amount of strength and a good amount of resiliency, but more importantly, to be harder to kill. If you want to learn more, and if you want to understand a little bit more of how I craft these things and how I integrate them into my BE.A.S.T program, then I strongly encourage you go click the link that's here in the description, and you're going to be able to find out a whole lot more about who I'm working with and how I'm helping veterans get down a bunch of weight, but also improving their strength so that they can move into the next phases of their life with a lot more confidence. So that's it for me. Make sure to follow, subscribe, like this video if you're enjoying the content. I drop a new video every week so that you can be the best veteran, you can be the best, hardest to kill individual out there in your community, and share your success with buddies so that we can be the best, strongest, healthiest community in the world. All right, guys, that's it for me. Train hard, fight easy. Peace. I hate t-shirts that get floppy in the arms after 10 washes. So that's why I created a bunch of t-shirts with high quality cotton just for you so that you can go to the gym and look fresh, sport some philosophy, and smash those PRs looking good. So you need to head to davemorrow.net/merch, grab yourself a hat, grab yourself a t-shirt, grab yourself a sweater, and support the cause today.